Okay, so you're in the second half of life and you want it to be extraordinary. You want to wake up inspired and happy and fulfilled. And sometimes, a lot of times, you might find yourself in just survival mode. And we need to understand what that's about. Why do we just survive? Why do we just get through? If you want an extraordinary life, if you want to thrive in life, what does it take? What does it look like? I am so thrilled to have Lauren Zander in the house today. Let me just say hello, Lauren. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. You are a busy woman having an extraordinary life. Thanks for carving out some time with us today.
Thank you for having me and for doing this. This is
Oh my
amazing.
gosh. My pleasure, my pleasure. Let me tell you a little bit about Lauren. Lauren Zander is a celebrity life coach, public speaker, and the CEO and founder of the Handel Group with over 25 years of experience in the industry. And the Handel Group, it's life coaching, executive coaching, teaching in universities. They cover a lot of ground. And today we are going to talk about thriving. Before we dive into that huge topic so that we can give you support around how to have an amazing second act, how on earth did you get into this work, Lauren? I'm so curious. And I mean, the Handel Group is pretty spectacular. It's pretty massive. You do amazing work in the world. How did that come into being?
So, turns out I'm 54 now. And when I started it, I was 28. I actually, it wasn't the Handel Group when I started it. I was just Lauren Handel. I wasn't even married yet. And then I built it from there. So I've been doing this since 1998. And my dream was that there has to be a better way for humans to live
Mm,
and that we're not thriving. We aren't, and I really believe like that my phrase is we don't design our lives. We're having our lives, we're born to our parents think we better do right. Like so there's not a lot of design. And so I spent a long time figuring out how to help people in a process on how to design their own life and what you better know, how you better think about it, how you better take over the voice in your head, like everything about designing one's life. And so then I also went into business. Like, so I expanded into all different areas so that I could basically teach what's called the Handel method and build coaches and teach a process that has people engage in their dreams.
amazing. And I love that you're talking about designing because when you say that, how you describe that, I'm hearing we can go into the default of okay, everyone's going to tell us how to be, jump through people's hoops, do life like that, or we could actually be proactive. We could actually be in the driver's seat and design it and create it and have it in a way that works for us. Would you say that resonates with your message?
It's 100% that. Like no one's asking the right questions, so no one ever answers them, and no one ever does all the thinking that they deserve to do, so they have the life they want, not the life society designs for us.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, society, our parents, our well-meaning parents, all the different things we pick up that tells us how to be, how not to be. And then you even mention it, the inner dialogue, the thoughts that potentially get in our way. First of all, congratulations. Before we dive in, it's
Thank you.
like let me get into like interview mode. No, 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 no. I don't want to just jump into the next uh piece. You started at a very young age to
Yeah.
design your life. That is, and then build this beautiful business. So congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Even
So,
teach how to be a risk taker. All right. Like,
well, being a risk taker. Yeah, cuz you know
right.
what? If you stay in the comfort zone and you don't stretch or take risks, then not too much magic happens in life, right?
Right. That's
Yeah.
right.
And yet we're wired to be like, don't take risks, be careful, don't stand out, tall poppies get cut down. So we're bumping up against a lot that could potentially keep us from shining our light and having deep love and joy and expansion in our life. And one of the things is the inner dialogue. So how does the inner dialogue, as you see it, get in the way of thriving?
Well, most people don't pay attention or even understand that their inner dialogue is something to master and to be able to hear and not to believe. Right. So I teach that you have a lower self, you have a highest lower self. It's still your lower self, but I make a joke. It's your God stick. It's the way you like yell at yourself to do the right thing. And it's definitely the lower self and the highest lower self are all fear based. If you're going to get in trouble, you better go. What are you going to do? Like you better not eat that or else you're going to get right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
it pretends it's God, like it's you at your best, like yelling at yourself. And both of the lower self and the highest lower self are the voice of fear, like all the
yeah.
doom. And sadly, that's where your parents come through just fine, right? Like the voice of everything you ever heard that horrifies you lives in your lower self and your highest lower self. So I make people track that and start to really capture what does it say? How do you talk to yourself? How do you talk to yourself when you look in the mirror? Like, how are you talking to yourself? Right.
Hmm.
And then the whole beautiful point, thank God there's a beautiful point coming, which
Let's
is
all take a breath into that there's actually something here that we could do.
like,
Yeah.
right. Like, so, and once you hear your lower self or your highest lower self talking, that's the only time you can ask yourself, what does your higher self say to those two voices?
Wow. Wait, wait, wait. We need to stop there and take a breath into that one. So only when you hear those lower or upper lower voices can you tap into that higher
You,
message.
the real you,
Yeah,
the
the real
actual real
essence, the
you.
spirit. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's
It's the
something
only
new I
time.
haven't heard. Wow, that's interesting. Hmm.
Right. So you and I, when you find yourself, so I teach that there's this, imagine there's a scale from 1 to 10. 10 is like sublime, the happiest you've ever been. You really want to like hang out at around an 8 or better, right? Like stay in the
Okay.
eights, right? And then when you're lower, right?
Yeah.
And when you're under an 8, there's some narrative going off in your head that you're looping or
Yeah.
it's looping you. And mostly we don't even catch it. We think it's us instead of like, I did my hair today. I manage my makeup. Are you managing you're the voice in your head? So we
Yeah.
don't really understand how much we have to take it over, or
Hmm.
it's gonna, we're gonna sound like our mother, father, or whatever we were raised by in ways that suck. Okay.
Yeah.
And so one of the only ways to really thrive is to take over the voice in your head. And if you're suffering in any way right now, I'm like, what's it saying?
Yeah.
What are you believing that it's saying? Where are
Yeah.
you stuck that you believe what it's saying? And what beliefs is it spinning you into thinking that you're stuck? Right? Like what's it saying? And so I really have people start there. Like that's one of the most important places to wake yourself up. And then the next interesting point is that humans, we're all human, right? Over 80% of our thoughts are negative.
Yeah. And we have
Over 80?
thousands and thousands and thousands a day. And we have the same ones, usually the ones that we had the day before
Loop.
and the day before and the day before. Yeah. We're at the mercy of these 80% of negative thoughts.
So my entire program is about that you have to take that 20 and switch
Yeah.
the 80/20 to 28, like go the other way.
Yep.
And the only way to go the other way is to actually spend a lot of time dreaming, not dreaming like pie in the sky, but like really develop the language of what you do want to be saying about, and I break life out into 12 different areas. And I ask you to have a vision in each. And then people don't even realize how little time they've ever spent dreaming and
Exactly.
talking about what they want and being very clear about what they want, and then figuring out what you really think about how to get what you want. So that's where basically where thriving comes from, is taking over the inner dialogue and starting it to talk in the direction you want your life to go
Absolutely. So it's spot on. It really is what you're saying. You
in.
know, I it's like so often, it's certainly I see it with, my clients and who I speak to. It sometimes they don't even have an answer to what they desire, what they want. They haven't spent any time really sitting with their heart's longing, and they
Mhm.
really are just in that spiral of all the negative beliefs and patterns, and they don't believe it's even possible. And so it's like ground zero here. It's like, okay, we need to get that North Star. We need to have you moving and leaning into that direction. And I heard you say that, and I want to go back to this because it just makes so much sense that, and I do think yeah, I have a few more questions about this. So you can't get to the 20%. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to use your language.
Mhm.
You can't get to the 20% unless you're conscious or connecting or understanding the 80%, which sounds like you need to really unpack and be aware of the 80% and then pull in the 20% so then you can build on it. Did I get that right? Is that making
Yes,
sense?
most people are hiding from their own thoughts because they're embarrassed about them. They believe them.
Yeah.
You don't even know what you're saying to yourself,
Yeah.
right? So if I make a joke that I do this, I start hitting myself, right? And I start hitting myself. And if I was hitting myself, I would go to the hospital and be like, something's wrong with my hand. Can you fix my
Yes.
hand? Right?
Yes.
Like, it's bad. It's broken. And I wouldn't be mad. I would be like, it's broke.
Yeah,
Right?
something's wrong here. Let's figure
Like,
this out. Yeah.
help me out. Right? Someone's up with this thing. Right. But no one does that for the 80% of their thoughts are negative and they don't realize they're hurting themselves.
Yeah.
And because it's in your head and everyone's pretending we're fine, or you're not pretending you're fine, but you don't actually think you have any power in taking over the mind.
Yeah.
That's what you have to wake up to. Like, one, it is possible. Two, you better get going. And anything wrong in your life, it's in there. Like, I could
Yeah.
find it, and it has everything to do with how you talk to yourself. And so
100%.
that 20% of have a great day, or what, like, how are you going to deal with what the building on the 20%? Right. And the 20% is your dreams, and the 20% is what you love. And how do you have a lot more of what you love in your life? Right. How do you make
Exactly.
sure of it? And then there are some truths that no one necessarily appreciates.
What do you
Like,
mean?
I'm sorry, exercise makes you happy. I understand you think I understand you think laying in your bed makes you happy, but actually laying in your bed makes you sad.
Yeah,
And over enough
totally.
time, you're going to be miserable that you're still laying in your bed. If you get up, no matter how sad you are, and go for that walk for 45 minutes, by the time you're home, you're proud of yourself. Like, there really are the actions to be taking in your life that you would design that would make you proud of yourself. So, but they're actually legit, right? Like, most of the things that would
Yeah,
make you happy take work and courage.
absolutely. And I totally resonate with the bed and getting out there because I'll be honest, mornings are tough for me. I have to work it. My eyes wake up and the voices and my body, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. But I've worked it where I'm like, you're gonna feel better. Just get the fuck out of the bed. Just get the
That's
fuck out of
right.
the bed,
That's right.
and get outside. And it's magical because as soon as the sun hits my eyes, my whole being changes and my whole day will change because I did it. And there's a little inner battle there, or sometimes a big
Every-
battle there. So is it just habit making, or do you have a magic bullet for me and other people that are like, oh, it's so hard to like get motivated and get out of bed and feel good about your day?
I have what I teach, which is pretty intense, right? So, one, anything you're not inclined to do, but you should do, requires a promise. Like you
Mm,
actually need to make a promise. You need to, it's like promise to get out of bed and go for an hour walk. Like people need to keep agreements that they're not inclined to keep.
yeah.
I'm sorry. It sucks to be human that you don't want to keep agreements, but when you keep them, you're proud of yourself. And when you don't keep them, you're not. And so you need to make those agreements to someone you'll keep them with. Right. So
Yeah.
when I was, for example, when I was raising my kids, right? So when I was raising my kids, um, I I had three of them, right? And so, there could be a reason to scream. Maybe, you can imagine. So I had a rule, which was that I am not allowed to get hot. Like I'm not allowed to get angry. I'm not allowed to get hot. I have to use my words, right? And really like chill and talk, right? And so if I ever screamed or lost my shit, I owed everyone in earshot $20.
Cool.
So I would put in a consequence. So I teach promises and consequences.
Love
And the
it.
consequence is not a hard thing, right? I have a sign next to my coffee machine. I don't get my run it. Hold on, look at it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I'm trying to, you're
20,
attempt.
it's
Yeah.
20 a day to sip coffee. So I do my
I missed
while
that.
I
What'd you
make
say?
it's 20 sit-ups, right? It's
Ah,
20. So I do my sit-ups, I do my while I'm making my coffee. I don't get my coffee till I've done my push-ups.
and it's kind of a win-win. It's just still something you
But
have to consider.
right, so I will not do push-ups unless I had that sign there and unless I don't get my coffee until I do them. Right. So
Beautiful.
I am constantly getting out of whatever mood I might be in because it's irrelevant. I have too many agreements and things I'm doing that my mood is screwed. Right.
Wow.
Like
I
it
just
doesn't,
love that.
right? It doesn't have time. Like get on with it, right? Like because by 6:30, I'm out walking, right?
Yeah.
And so and then I have all the rituals of things that I do because I'm not banking on waking up happy. I'm actually banking on waking up a little busy.
I love this. And, uh, I just, oh my God, the way you're putting it, wiring and habit building and supporting yourself and knowing that you are a human being that a lot of times they're not going to want to do certain things, but you've built in these rules, and if you do this, then you get to do this. And what I also am hearing is you're building trust in yourself as well. Like I know that before I go to bed, I do a little mind movie of how my day is going to be, but I really focus on how my morning's going to be. I'm waking up and tomorrow this is my morning routine. I mean, I have certain things in my morning routine that are always. However, tomorrow morning, this is what's going to happen.
Mm,
So I
mm,
make that agreement with myself before I go to bed, which sets me up in a very different way in the morning. Now, if I follow through, which pretty much I always do, but there are those mornings, it builds trust. And if I keep breaking my own contracts, I don't trust myself. And how does that bode with all these other people in my life? If I can't trust myself, how can I trust anybody else? So what I'm hearing is you're building some huge inner
yes.
muscles to be able to have an extraordinary life and thrive. It's powerful stuff you're laying down here.
Thank you. What I teach, or one of the things I call it in my book, or over the years, I even like own the trademark for it, is what's called personal integrity, which
Yeah.
is your ability, like people can keep promises to everybody else, or like will have to in order to feel good about themselves
Yeah.
or make it in society. But like you're saying exactly, it's the promises you keep to yourself that you will keep that make you love yourself and feel proud to be you. Right. And if
Exactly.
you're
And
not
that feels
building
so
that,
good. It feels so good when you're proud of yourself and you're following through. And you mentioned a book, and I don't have that in my notes. What's the name of the book
oh,
so people can grab it?
maybe it's you. is the name of the
Oh, and
book.
maybe it's in
Maybe
my
it's
notes
you.
somewhere. That's awesome.
Maybe
I
it's you.
love it.
Maybe
I
it's
love
you.
it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
good. Oh, okay. So agreements and I'm doing air quotes for those listening, punishments. If you lose your
Consequences,
cool, consequences. Yes, yes.
consequences
Thank you. Much
that you've designed
different.
for yourself so that you are paying. Like I really have fun ones. Like people over the years, if they don't, especially in the corporate world, they only want to have a certain amount of drinks, right? And they're over drinking. And so I've had people throw $100 bills out their car window, right? If they over, like, so
And that's kind
you
of fun. And you're
gamify
like
it.
kind of, yeah, gamify it, sending send giving $20 to your kids or whatever. So it's a consequence, but it's not shaming you. It's
Yeah.
not
And
raking you over the coals.
that's and it's designed to pay the bill so that you don't finish yourself or think it means something about you forever,
Yep,
right? Because I teach about how much we come up with justifications and reasons and excuses for why we can't do something, and then as long as we feel really bad about ourselves, it creates this illusion we'll do better tomorrow, or the self-loathing is doing something.
yeah,
Instead, I replace it with an actual consequence with a promise. So you're actually are doing something,
it's
but
great.
you
I
don't
love
have
it.
to resent yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's just, insult to injury as we as we move through
Yes.
life. So, you talk about how the past gets in the way of your thriving. Can you share a little bit more about how you view that?
Yeah. So depending on the area of a person's life, right? When it's, if I'm have someone talking about their dream, or you're having a problem dreaming, right? Because I break life out into 12 different areas, I expect a dream in each of the areas, so that you're not making your whole life about your career or your family or your body, right? But that each area gets a dream, right?
Nice.
And so when you're dreaming in that area, you then are creating for yourself what you most want, right? And then you can deal with um, your past about it, right? So the minute you go, I want this body, I want a new love, I want a new career, right? You write the dream, and then the minute you write the dream, you can hear all your past reasons why you're going to suck at that. It can't happen. Everything your inner dialogue, your lower self or your highest lower self is saying against your ability to produce that dream.
Yep,
That bag of, I call it a purge, right? I call it a purge. That purge you need to face, right? You need to face all your own reasons why you don't turn out to yourself, right?
yep.
And in that are haunting memories, are things you've never resolved. And you'd be amazed at how much the last 5 diets is the reason you won't go on a new diet, but you're also buying, the groceries you shouldn't be buying, right? So it's I have I have people deal with all of that so that their past isn't explaining what's not possible in the future, right? So
Beautiful.
you
Yeah,
buy in, and so you have to really resolve your shit history with yourself, and how all the ways you don't trust yourself, so that you can build self-respect in that area. So that's how the
absolutely.
past messes you up royally.
Absolutely, because and if you're not aware of these thoughts, you're gonna sabotage yourself. That's what happens because it just pulls. I used to be 200 pounds. I'm 5'3", and that was about 20 something years ago. And yes, I know I'm
Wow.
so grateful to be in a normal size, healthy body. A little menopausal extra, a few pounds lately, but I'm in a good place. And it wasn't until I was able to unpack the past and really shift gears that I was able to maintain a different lifestyle without punishment, without deprivation, and
Mm,
ultimately the belief I had. was why bother? Because you know you're just going to go right back up the scale. And then
That's right.
everybody's going to see it again. And how devastating it was for me because everyone was like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You look so great. And in the back of my mind was terror because I was thinking, how long is this going to last? Well, to your point, if you are not aware of this, then you could have all the dreams you want. It's going to trip you up. And that's,
Yeah.
that's what we're bumping up against here.
Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Congratulations. That's a really
Thank
big,
you.
big, big, big win. And I
It
deal with that
is.
a lot. I deal with that a lot. And
I bet you do.
I deal with helping people lose weight and
Mm.
lose like 100 pounds. I've dealt with hundreds of pounds.
Yeah, I know
And
you've done
and
some
and
amazing work.
they always go back to they don't go back to the same thing, right? Like
No, they're
it could be
different.
one of your parents was an addict and you didn't end up with alcohol, you ended up with food, right? So
Exactly.
there's lots of different ways someone ends up saying it's not 10 pounds overweight, it's serious, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. I have a question for you. A lot of the women that I speak to say they have challenges with people pleasing.
Mm,
How do you see that as getting in the way of thriving? Because it's not a pleasant thing to experience, and they're certainly not getting their needs met. How do you
no.
view it? And
So, well, I have a word for it. I like to call it pleasy, right?
pleasy, oh my goodness, yes.
Pleasy, right? So
Uh-huh.
being pleasy
Mhm.
is actually very sleazy.
Oh, write that one down, sisters. Write that one down.
And the reason it's sleazy is because you're lying and
Yeah,
you're lying to keep somebody else happy,
yeah,
right? And that's codependent, right? Like you need them to be happy with you and you'd rather lie and keep other people happy so that you feel lovable, that you get like, because if you told the truth, someone would go away or
yeah,
someone might hurt you or something could, right? So people don't understand how much lying is going on when you're people pleasing. And it
mhm,
becomes this creepy kind of virtue of keeping other people happy. But really, what's happening is you're a liar, right? You're a con artist. Like you're saying what they want to hear, and because you're willing to do it, like, oh, sure, I'll go with you. Oh, sure, I'll get you that. Oh, sure. Oh, no, I'm okay. No, no, right? Like
yeah,
everything you're doing to please the other person, but really they never even asked you to, like in that way. They didn't say
yeah,
lie and do it anyway. Right. And so then what happens is that a person becomes I joke and call them, you become the PR agent in your own life. You're not your real self, you're your PR agent, right? Like your
yeah,
public relations person, right? And so the real you is like locked somewhere in the back and is not allowed to tell the truth. And this fake you gets stuck running a life that you don't even like.
yep. Fun, not. I mean, people want deep intimacy. People want joy and connection. It's like what every woman I speak to says they want. And
Yes.
then they're having their PR person in front and people don't get to really be seen or heard or they're just blocking themselves. So
I
so
would also
how
say that
yeah.
the other thing that's really twisted in it, which goes back to one's own inner dialogue,
Yeah.
is that much of what that person's doing that's being pleasy is interpreting and talking to themselves about what the other person's going to say. So
Right.
they're running a puppet show in their head, pretending they're speculating, oh, he's going to get mad or he's going to, like, you're literally running puppets. And you're a puppet in the story, and they're a puppet in the story, and real life has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Right? So teaching someone to ask or tell the truth or admit the truth is just a learning how to talk differently, actually.
Yep.
It just needs framing and learning how to tell the truth.
Yeah, yeah. And it's exhausting trying to like take care of everybody and make sure you don't step on people's toes and protect yourself. And if they only knew the real what's going on inside of my head and heart and body, like We make it so complicated, and yet ultimately, it's all the stuff you said. We've learned it, we've experienced it. We have the negative bias to protect ourselves, and we want to thrive. That's why I'm so thrilled you're here. So, how about a couple of tips around how to design your life so that people can thrive? What might be a couple of easy steps for them to do?
So a dream really helps. Like a dream is writing it in first person,
Yep.
like it is happening now. Like I love my body. I eat well. I love what I eat. Like so first person, current reality, talk about it now and write in only positive, not I am overeating stuff I shouldn't be eating. None of the negative stuff, what you
Mhm.
do want. So actually see if you can write a whole page in dream, like I got what I wanted. I closed on a new job. I love my new job because my boss is like this. Like use your imagination and get prolific about talking about something you want.
So good.
Do that. Ideally, do that before bed because the concept really is that you go to bed into your subconscious and your subconscious is where the universe is, right? Like that's where oh there, right? So if you're writing up or thinking about your dreams of things you want, becomes more believable to you, right? So
Yeah.
I actually do a night design and design something I want to work on while I'm sleeping, right? And so if you do your dreaming, ladies, while you're before you go to bed, like just journal or even leave a voice memo or write it in your notes, right? That would be a miracle. Okay. And it'll
Yeah.
work. It'll really work on you. Number two would be make one promise with a consequence that you are not like, okay, fine, I'll stop eating by 8 o'clock every night. Like anything you can promise to do that you'll make an agreement and tell somebody else about that is like an upgrade for you, something to be proud of, is a life changer. Right. And so I would say those two things would be life
Those 2
altering.
are huge, 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 huge. Curious about the writing before bed. So
Mm,
let's just say your focus is, I want to have a partner, I want my
mm,
soulmate. And so you're
mm-hmm,
writing in I have the most magnificent partner.
mm-hmm,
He's this, we're this. And so
mm-hmm.
you do that one night and
Yep.
then you go to sleep. Do you
Mm-hmm.
write another version of it the next
Yep.
night?
You
So you
could
just keep
if you love
focusing on
your
one thing, or
yeah, it's until it's so believable, until you're sleeping next to the guy,
love it.
and then your action. So if it's love that you're looking for, or some kind of fun dating, or any form of like play in the area of romance, right? You would write about it till you believe it's possible, like until you absolutely know you can have it. And if it takes you a month, a week, 3 weeks, whatever it takes you, and then you go out and you have a promise to look for cute men or look for somebody or go on a dating site or go out, right? So then you make sure that your evening dream becomes believable. And how you know it eventually becomes believable is you're willing to take actions in accordance with that dream.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. So you have the Inner You course. What
Yes.
is that?
Yeah. So I've been teaching for a long time. And I have three digital programs, right? So I'm wildly expensive. Expensive. I get to coach those celebrities, right? And so what I did over the years was I developed because I taught at Stanford Business School and I taught at MIT and I developed a process. And so Inner You is I have Inner You Life, which is my basic coursework and all the homeworks in an app where you get to answer all the questions. So Inner You Life, Inner You Love, which is all my work on love and figuring out your history with love and designing what you really want in the area of love and sex. And then Inner You Career, which is you want to deal with your career. So I have a lot of content I developed. They're not all the same. And so if you buy Inner You, basically you can have classes with me for free for the rest of your life. Like you
Love
buy
it.
one Inner You, and then I'm always teaching master classes. And then you also have groups of lots of people. You can meet people and get a buddy because I teach accountability and put people together. So that's my main coursework.
So cool. So amazing. You're doing unbelievable work. And for anybody that's watching or listening, she has a special code for you to get $75 off of
Mm,
one of the courses.
that's
And
right.
the code, we'll put everything in the show notes, but just so you know, the code, if you want to jot it down, is capital letters JUNIE 75. That's kind of easy. And the link
Hmm.
is inneru, the letter U.coach. So you can go there. And again, it'll be in the show notes. Uh, Lauren, so many golden nuggets here. Thank you so much. I am just thrilled to have time to be with you. You have created so much beautiful work in the world, enhancing people's lives to thrive in so many ways. I am thrilled that you were here today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, everyone, please be sure to like and subscribe. I know you like this. Let's be real. No more lying to yourself. You loved this episode. So, like it, share it. Think about someone that may not be thriving, that's living in that 80% that we've been talking about, that maybe hasn't even scratched the surface of their dreams. Share this episode with them. We rise together, especially as
Mm,
women. We rise together and we need to thrive more than ever. So, with
mhm.
that said, until our next episode, mwah. One more thing before you go. Have you taken my Discover Your Love Avatar quiz? It's a 2-minute quiz that can help you not only know your strengths, your superpower because you have one, also identify some of your blind spots, some of the things that might be having you in your fear, having you behaving in ways that aren't in alignment with your highest self, the way you want to be when it comes to dating and relationships. And it'll also help you discover why maybe the stars haven't lined up for you yet. Bottom line is, you take this 2-minute quiz, you get a full report in your email with details on how to move forward in next level love, whether you want a partner or not. So you can go to midlifeloveoutloud.com/love quiz. The link is in the show notes as well. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the station, I'm going to encourage you to do that too, so you don't miss any episodes. And I hope you got a ton out of today's. See you next week. Mwah.